saying no to Google for $1 billion. In 1998, two guys named Larry and Sergey showed up to Yahoo's office with a search engine they built in a dorm room. They wanted to sell it. The price? $1 million. Yahoo said no. They came back later. The price was now $1 billion. Yahoo said no again. That search engine was Google, the company that would eventually eat Yahoo alive, steal its lunch, steal its dinner, and then repave the parking lot where Yahoo used to stand. Yahoo's reasoning was that if people used a really good search engine, they would leave Yahoo's website too quickly. That was their actual concern. They were worried about people leaving too fast. Spoiler alert, people left. They left so hard that Yahoo spent the next 2 decades chasing Google like a dog chasing a car. Except the dog never caught the car, and also the dog had made some very questionable financial decisions. Paying too much for Geocities. It is 1999. The internet is young. People are making websites with spinning GIFs and Comic Sans font about their cats. Yahoo looks at this and thinks, yes, this is the future. We must own this. They bought Geocities for $3.57 billion in stock. The 90s internet was essentially a digital landfill of blinking text, scrolling marquees, and MIDI music that would play automatically and scare the soul out of your body. Yahoo looked at this chaos and said, yes, let's give them nearly $4 billion for the privilege of hosting 1 million pages dedicated to the X-Files fan theories. Geocities was basically a free website builder where anyone could make the ugliest page imaginable. Yahoo had visions of it becoming the social hub of the internet. What actually happened is that people slowly stopped using it, then stopped completely, and Yahoo eventually shut it down in 2009. 10 years. They paid $3.57 billion and got 10 years of animated flames and tiled backgrounds of outer space. You could have rented that for much less. Overpaying enormously for Broadcast.com. The year is still 1999, and Yahoo has apparently learned absolutely nothing. They bought Broadcast.com for $5.7 billion. Broadcast.com was a streaming platform for radio and videos on the internet. This sounds like it could have been the future, except internet speeds in 1999 were so slow that watching a video online was basically just watching a loading bar slowly fill up while your phone line made angry robot noises. Yahoo bought an entirely theoretical business at an astronomical price and then quietly killed it a few years later. Mark Cuban, who sold Broadcast.com to Yahoo, used that money to buy the Dallas Mavericks. He has been doing great. Yahoo has not. Completely mishandling the dot-com crash. When the dot-com bubble burst in the early 2000s, almost every tech company took a hit. Yahoo took 17 hits, then fell down the stairs, then tripped over the dog at the bottom. Their stock dropped around 92% from its peak. The company had been valued at over $100 billion. It was now worth something you could find on a couch. The response from leadership was mostly confusion and shuffling of executives, which would become Yahoo's signature move for the next 2 decades. When in doubt, reshuffle the executives. It never helped, but it kept everyone very busy. Rejecting Microsoft's $44 billion offer. In 2008, Microsoft walked up to Yahoo with a check for $44.6 billion. This was a generous offer. This was a very, very generous offer. Yahoo said the price was too low. Turning down $44 billion is the kind of confidence usually reserved for people who have actually won a game of Monopoly, yet Yahoo played like they hadn't even passed Go. Microsoft shrugged and walked away. Yahoo then spent the next several years watching its value decline so dramatically that $44 billion began to look less like an insult and more like a golden ticket they had fed to a paper shredder. Jerry Yang, Yahoo's co-founder who rejected the deal, was pushed out of the company shortly after. The board eventually sold Yahoo for around $4.5 billion. So if you were keeping score at home, they turned down $44 billion and settled for $4.5 billion. Math is hard. Hiring, then firing multiple CEOs rapidly. Between 2007 and 2012, Yahoo went through 5 different CEOs. 5 in 5 years. At one point, they hired a CEO named Scott Thompson, who turned out to have falsely claimed a computer science degree on his resume. He was there for 4 months. The irony of a search engine company failing to search for their own CEO's credentials is the kind of high-level comedy you usually have to pay for. They had the power of the entire internet at their fingertips and used it for everything except a basic background check. It wasn't just a revolving door. It was a vertical one. Yahoo was essentially running a revolving door of leadership, and each new CEO would walk in, announce a bold new vision, change some things, and then leave before any of the things could either work or fail. It was like redecorating your house every 3 months and then wondering why nothing felt like home. Passing on buying Facebook early. While Yahoo was busy cycling through executives and declining Microsoft's life-changing offers, Facebook came knocking around 2006. Yahoo made an offer of around $1 billion, then got cold feet when their stock dropped and lowered the offer. They tried to haggle over $150 million with Mark Zuckerberg, a man who famously doesn't care about money as much as he cares about owning your data until the end of time. Mark Zuckerberg walked away. Facebook is now worth over $1 trillion. Yahoo passed on Google and Facebook within a decade. At this point, you have to wonder if Yahoo was intentionally trying to avoid becoming successful, like some kind of reverse business strategy. The Tumblr purchase for way too much. In 2013, Yahoo acquired Tumblr for $1.1 billion. Tumblr was a blogging platform mostly famous for fan communities, poetry, and content that was, shall we say, very difficult to monetize with family-friendly advertising. Yahoo promised they would not ruin it. Then they tried to put ads on it. The users revolted. Yahoo eventually sold Tumblr in 2019 for approximately $3 million. They bought it for $1.1 billion. They sold it for $3 million. That is not a typo. It takes a special kind of talent to buy a thriving community for the price of a private island and sell it back for the price of a used 2014 Honda Civic. It wasn't just a bad investment. It was a $1.1 billion donation to the concept of internet chaos. They tried to monetize teenage angst, and predictably, the angst won. They lost over $1 billion on a website mostly used to post GIF reactions and vampire fiction. Truly a historic achievement. The Alibaba mistake that was actually not a mistake, but still kind of a disaster. Here's the one time Yahoo accidentally did something right and still managed to make it awkward. In 2005, Yahoo invested $1 billion in a Chinese company called Alibaba. That investment eventually became worth tens of billions of dollars. A genuine win. Except Yahoo's leadership spent years trying to figure out how to unlock that value without paying massive taxes, and the company became so defined by its Alibaba stake that people stopped thinking of Yahoo as a tech company and started thinking of it as a hedge fund with a bad email client. Their greatest success was a reminder that everything else was failing. The Verizon sale and the massive data breach problem. When Verizon finally agreed to buy Yahoo's core internet business for around $4.8 billion in 2016, everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Finally, a resolution. Then it came out that Yahoo had experienced two of the largest data breaches in internet history, affecting literally all 3 billion of its user accounts. All of them. Every single Yahoo account on the planet had been compromised. Yahoo had known about at least one of these breaches for 2 years and had not fully disclosed it. Verizon, understandably annoyed about buying a company that had secretly been a data catastrophe, renegotiated the price down by $350 million. The CEO, Marissa Mayer, who had tried very hard to turn the company around, forfeited her cash bonus. The company was then folded into a new entity called Oath, which was later renamed Verizon Media and is now called Yahoo again. Like a company that lost its way, wandered through the wilderness for years, and then returned home only to find the house had been rearranged and most of the furniture sold. Renaming the company Oath was the final chef's kiss on a decade of identity crises. It sounded less like a tech brand and more like a legally binding promise to never be cool again. It was the corporate version of a live, laugh, love sign hanging in the window of a haunted house. R.I.P. Yahoo, the king of the almost.